everybody, it's Dara, and it's been so long since we've made raw food together. I can't believe it. It's been about 3 weeks, and I've missed you guys so much. I had no idea it had been that long, but it has been a wonderful and important 3 weeks. I took some time to myself. I took a week, and I went to the Optimum Health Institute in San Diego. And that is where you go to detox, you go to unplug. After a year of very hard work and a lot of changes, after the year anniversary of my mom passing, I felt like I just needed to just clear a lot of things and leave them at the door, leave the baggage at the door. And sometimes it's good for us to do that. Some people said to me, well, why do you eat so clean all the time? Why would you need to go to a place like that? And I think everybody has stress. We have environmental toxins. We may not be eating as clean as we normally do. Life goes in cycles. I think it's one of the reasons that many of you enjoy watching me here is because you know that it's not one way the same every day all the time. Sometimes there's a little more fat. Sometimes there's less fat. Sometimes there's this. Sometimes there's lots more desserts. Who knows? But it's the cycle of life. And sometimes we just need to reboot. So the wonderful thing about the Optimum Health Institute in San Diego is that you just drive up, your car is parked, you don't have to leave the premises, and they serve you a very detoxifying raw food diet for a day and a half, and then you do juices for 3 days, then raw food again, and it's a week, Sunday to Sunday. And throughout the whole time there are wheatgrass shots. You do 2 to 4 ounces in the morning, 2 to 4 ounces in the afternoon. You do enemas, colonics, wheatgrass implants, the whole thing. So the only job is to get the wheatgrass in and identify. Sometimes there's physical detoxification, and sometimes there's emotions that come up that we don't realize. So, and they have wonderful education there. So I did that for a week, and then I came home and had some realizations about some things that needed to change here in my home. And I got Jada ready for high school. So it was a couple weeks of just really good work, and I'm happy to say that I'm back and I'm feeling better than ever. So it's such a tribute to eating cleanly so that we take care of ourselves and do normal daily wonderful practice, but also go that extra step for ourselves. Give ourselves solitude, give ourselves quiet time, and give ourselves a deep cleanse. You know, that's a gift, that's a luxury. So if any of you have the opportunity to do something like that for yourself, please do. What I also want to say that I noticed, and I'm really going to be addressing, is that there's a lot of people who go to retreats such as this, and then they come home and they don't follow through. And I found that to be so interesting because I was one of the only people there who do. I follow through throughout the year. So I know when I go to a retreat like that, it might be a little bit harder than my normal diet of having this and that. You know, I have tonics when I want, I have desserts when I want, but it won't be so hardcore detoxification. Whereas if you walk in holding a cup of coffee or drinks the night before, or some Doritos on the way, or some hamburgers, or whatever you did, your detoxification is going to be harder. And so I'm a huge proponent, and you guys have known this for a long time, that I'm a huge proponent of learning how to feed ourselves in our environment, in our kitchen, no matter how small it is, no matter what your living space is. I always say to people, if you have a sink and you can have a Vitamix, you can take care of yourself. So for me, part of my next mission is going to be able to helping you with 2 things. One, knowing how to feed yourself day in and day out, before a retreat and right after a retreat. That's interesting to me. And also preparing for the winter, because I hear a lot of you are kind of nervous about what's going to happen when it's cold. So I'm going to be here for you for that. And this recipe is going to be a little tribute, a little pepper tribute with a little top to the kinds of foods that are going to help us to feel satiated when the winter comes, when we want to feel warmer. Now, I'm starting with, this just came to me because of the shape of the peppers, but if you didn't have little peppers like this, you could just cut strips of pepper, or if you don't have pepper at all, you can do what I'm about to do and put it on a leaf of romaine, on celery, on cabbage, on a butter leaf lettuce like I have. So my first instinct was to use the butter leaf lettuce and do a chopped salad. And it's so easy to chop celery and apples and some mushrooms and put some raisins in and apple cider vinegar and a little bit of olive oil and some avocado and put that in a butter lettuce leaf. But then I came upon these little peppers, and I knew that I had in my refrigerator, which I like to keep, is already soaked, already dehydrated walnuts. Walnuts are a brain food. They're shaped like a brain. They have essential fatty acids which help our brain and help our nervous system. So we could eat the cleanest low-fat diet in the world, but we'll start to maybe not have the same memory retention, or we won't feel as balanced and stable and calm. So I'm a huge proponent of having walnuts in the diet, but they must be soaked to remove the enzyme inhibitors. And I soak them for 2 to 4 hours, and then I go ahead and dehydrate them so they're plain. Living Intention sells these in bulk at Whole Foods. You can find already soaked and dehydrated walnuts if you don't have a dehydrator at home. If you are a budding raw foodist or a seasoned raw foodist or somebody who wants to try raw food, I highly recommend getting a dehydrator, because when you're transitioning to raw foods, having dehydrated nuts and seeds and being able to make crackers and breads and chippy kinds of things it's really helpful. When you're living in a warm climate, when you're living in the summertime, and there's a lot of fresh hydrating fruits and vegetables available, then it's easier to only eat hydrated food. But in the wintertime, it's nice to have crackers, have some fermented sauerkrauts and kimchis, make some kind of probiotic cheese spread to supplement with whatever vegetables you can find in the winter. So I know that a lot of times you can find celery and romaine and maybe bags of spinach. So have as much raw food as you can in the winter, but don't be afraid to also supplement with some of the root vegetables and onions and celery and different vegetables that you can find, having them lightly stewed with coconut oil, with water and a little bit of coconut oil is a really good option. So it's not about being afraid of the winter. It's saying, how can I feed myself organically, nurture my body, sustain the best health possible, and love myself while doing it? It's not about the guilt. So we have these walnuts, and someone's doing something for me downstairs. It's a little noisy, I'm sorry. But I pulled out my mini Prep Plus. I have a big food processor, a Cuisinart, but this one's what I like to use if I'm making a small amount of something. So I'm just going to put in a couple big handfuls of walnuts, and if you didn't soak them, if you soak them and you didn't dehydrate them, that would be great for this recipe because the moisture is good. I'm going to add moisture. I'm going to use a little bit of lemon juice, or I could use my coconut vinegar made from coconut sap. And Wilderness Family Naturals is a really nice company. So we want moisture for the walnuts to go. We're making a pate to go inside our peppers, or a pate to go on a lettuce leaf. And ideally they will be moist, but since these were already dehydrated, I could add moisture back into them via water, lemon juice, coconut vinegar. I may add a touch of sweetener just to balance out the flavor, so a little bit of honey or coconut nectar or a little coconut sugar. Pinch of salt. I think I'll use some lemon juice. I'm really like to make sure that I get my vitamin C, because our body doesn't produce vitamin C. We need to replenish it. So we want to think about that in winter too. Vitamin C helps our bodies produce collagen, so it makes our skin really nice. And the essential oils are just so lovely from the lemon. They're so uplifting. Use all of it. Put this in water and use that. The aromatherapy of it all. I definitely want to use some purple onion, probably chopped and then mixed in after I make the pate. And I'm a huge fan of habanero. I'm a huge fan of capsaicin in the peppers that make it hot, because it heats up your body. It gets your blood flowing, and it's antibacterial, and it boosts the metabolism. So I just love it. Whenever I make food at home, I just love to put a little fresh habanero in, just a little tip of it. I'm going to put a little bit of honey. a little bit of vinegar. And this is the kind of thing when you want walnuts or nuts or seeds to taste like a meat, to give you that hearty kind of meatball-y kind of, you can make meatballs, add sage, fresh or dried, and rosemary, and the things that are normally meat is seasoned with. So I'm gonna blend and see how I do. I was kind of toying with the idea of throwing in a tomato. I don't know why. Oh, why not? Let's see. I don't know, what just struck me as interesting. And this is where a mini spatula comes in handy. These are my favorite little spatulas. Beautiful. Now the dried walnuts make it so that you need to add more moisture. Wow, that's amazing. I love it. Okay, so I got cut off, but thankfully only at where I added the tomato, and I said I love the texture. It doesn't have to be so fine, it's a beautiful texture. And I took the pepper and I stuffed it, and I was telling you how I cut the bottom so it could stand nicely. What a beautiful appetizer before dinner. And if you want to take it to the next level, because my mom always said to take it to the next level, always just go a step further. Take it higher. And what you could do is warm this in the dehydrator, and that way for some hours, and that way it's warmer and softer. So in the winter months you might like that. And you know, if you're in the summer and there's lots of hydrating fresh fruits and vegetables, it's easy to not have to eat dehydrated food. But as it starts getting colder, it's nice to have a flax cracker and have some hummus with some fermented. You can make sauerkraut so easily in the fall and winter. Cabbage with salt, massaged with its own juices, fermented out for a number of days, and you have probiotic food that helps your body build good flora. So start thinking about learning how to make sauerkrauts and kimchi and fermented food, and start thinking about how to make like dips and things like that. And if you can get a dehydrator, it's really helpful, because then you can make breads and crackers and warm up things. I don't know if you caught the part where I said that this was a good little meatball, and dehydrated it could get crunchier on the outside, and then you serve that over zucchini pasta, which has also been warmed slightly in the dehydrator. Then you have this meal that is kind of warm at night. But I don't want you to feel like you only have to have raw food in the winter, because really the first thing that's important is organic. The second thing is knowing your body. So if it's really cold and you need to have a hot broth, or you need to have a stew, look at my clean cooked recipes, because you might be able to easily get root vegetables like sweet potato, and you have celery and onions and, I don't know, parsnips and different things that are accessible to you. And if you're having enough probiotics, then you have living enzymes in sprouts, let's say. You make sprouts, you have fermented food, so you're having protein and living enzymes from the sprouts. Then you have your fermented food, which has all the healthy flora and has digestive enzymes in it, so it helps your body to perhaps digest a cooked stew. So it's not the end of the world, but think clean cooking. No oils that shouldn't be cooked. It should only be like coconut oil, so it doesn't change its molecular structure and block your arteries. So you want to just use a little coconut oil in your stewed vegetables. And so it's really about being kind and nurturing to yourself, and relishing the fact that how are you going to do this? It's like a challenge and creative, and I'm going to be here for you. I'm going to be thinking about you in the cold months. For those of you with it's warm weather, don't worry about the dehydrated food. Eat everything hydrated and fresh. Have this on. I pulled out this gorgeous butterleaf lettuce that I got. I love it. I love butterleaf. It's so soft, and you take a big leaf or two, and you have this gorgeous, and you put this gorgeous little baby on top with some chopped onions, which I didn't do, which I'm going to do next, is chop some purple onion And that's a gorgeous little snack. Bring some of those to work for lunch, you know. So we're going to keep it fun. Really, let's keep it fun because that's what it is. And there we have it. Bon appetit. Please do get your greens on, and I will see you guys really soon. Really soon this time, I promise.